3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to the Overcaffeinated and Misunderstood podcast. It's been so long since we've actually been able to film a podcast. I know we kind of left off, I think, in August of last year. The schedule has kind of been all over the place a little bit, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit and also address why I guess it's just me on the podcast. So we're going to address where Mariel is and why she's gone here shortly. But before we do that, I do want to get into today's sponsor, Bionic. They are a super awesome brand. I'm super appreciative of somebody coming up to sponsor. They are a 100% personalized supplement, and it's super cool the technology that they have in place to make sure that you are getting the right supplements and right multivitamins for you. It's actually an AI-driven technology, which is super cool because that is just the future. But I'm super glad to have them as one of our sponsors today. They are sending me a package. I took their test, so go ahead and log on to Bionic's website. I'll have it linked down below and take your test and order your supplements as well. And I'll kind of update you guys along the journey too. Of me taking the supplements, so you kind of know how my experiences are too. Like I said, I personally haven't used it yet, but from all of the testimonies and everything I've heard working with the brand, I think it's a great supplement. And also, like you guys know, I wouldn't be supporting a brand unless I knew 100% that I felt good about it. Just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way. Next, I do want to address why Muriel is gone. If you guys do see me sitting down here or looking down here, it's just because I do have a little bit of a monitor just to kind of keep me on track as we go through everything. But yeah, kind of addressing why Muriel's gone. Nothing crazy. I mean, it's not like we're not friends or anything crazy like that. I guess for us, it's mostly been timing was the big thing. Timing and change in mood on the podcast. Before we were so kind of drama derived, which was cool and awesome, but we had conversations about it multiple times, and she was sitting next to me right now. I think she would agree with it, that we always talked about it, that drama was fun. It was fun to talk our stuff and do that side of the podcast, and I think that was awesome for season 1 of the podcast. I think it brought in a lot of different people to kind of see our personality, and I don't know, I feel like it brought a fun creative avenue for the podcast, and I guess the change for her was just timing and stepping away a little bit from social media too as well. I guess I don't want to say that this is necessarily the end of her ever being on the podcast too as well. I could definitely see down the road her being a kind of guest person on here and maybe rejoining, and then maybe we can also get her side as well. But I think going forward, just for consistency and timing and everything, just having one will be good. There's a lot of stuff too that I'm going to be announcing here, but like I said, no bad things between us, nothing at all. I think it's just a matter of timing, mood, and a couple different things there. So with that said, I do want to get into kind of the future of the OCMS podcast and the new direction that we're going to be taking with it going into season 2, which is kind of exciting. Like I said, we kind of left off here in August, which is kind of crazy to think about, August of last year. And I'm trying to even remember where we left off. I think it was right after we got back from Vegas was the last podcast that actually aired. And next was supposed to be our Vegas podcast, which is, amazing podcast. And maybe one day there'll be a spot on this platform for that to come out, and maybe, something along those lines for you guys to see that podcast. Because there was at least 4 or 5 podcasts that actually didn't air. That are partially edited and could go up, but I don't know. Like I said, I at least want to take this podcast into a little bit of different direction, and just make it grow a little bit more, because drama at the end of the day wouldn't last. That's essentially how I looked at it, that it's fun, but it's not going to last. So kind of take it a new direction. With that said, there's going to be no name changes, anything like that. Same studio, keeping it the same old OCMS that you guys have learned to love and came around to love, and I guess I can say. But yeah, I kind of want to go into the new direction. I'm going to scroll this down a little bit here. So kind of a couple of things that I want to get into and talk about and things that we're going to be taking here with the podcast. And it's just basically some of the stuff is going to be more personal topic themed. I'm very fitness oriented right now going into this new year, and I've always been fitness oriented. I've been pretty consistently gym oriented in the last 5-6 years here. So kind of taking a new avenue into that to talk with you guys and connect with you guys kind of on a fitness standpoint, what I'm doing on my day-to-day personal life, and kind of like I said, also having life updates and stuff. What I'm doing, what's going on in my personal stuff, and new things there. Also, I've been clean eating, which is super wild for me. I love a good bad meal, but now I've been really strictly clean eating. So kind of diving into that with you, and also sharing, when I do not clean eat, because there is times when I do have to splurge. I mean, I'm a foodie, so I definitely like to go away from just always clean eating and get into eating bad. So that's always nice. Also want to talk about multiple businesses and stuff that I'm involved in. There's a couple different things around here, my local area that I'm involved in. Many of you guys don't actually know. I do share, if you guys do know me from my Instagram, I do share it on there, but I am actually a coffee business owner. I have a storefront. We launched in January of 2021. And there's some super, super awesome things coming with the brand here in this next year. And I'd love to get into that with you guys too here on the podcast and share you guys kind of tips and tricks, and then also talk to you about it on a business standpoint, because it is quite fun. There's its ups and downs, but I do actually enjoy it. Also, I want to get into work, get into, my personal life and what I do for work, and, tips and tricks and things that I can help you with in my line of field that I do too as well. And also a couple other things I do is just like remodeling projects. So if you don't know, I built this whole set here, which was quite fun to do. It's something maybe we'll do like I'll do the behind the scenes. I keep referring to everything in third party. I guess I need to step away from that. I'm so used to, just from last season with having a co-guest here. But yeah, no, getting into that more, maybe showing you behind the scenes of the set here, because I know you guys just see a studio here, but I mean, I'm looking at probably 8 or 9 lights. I have a monitor there, a monitor down here. I have multi-mic setup. I have a guest area over here. So a couple different things like that. And then also projects that I'm going to be working on this summer is going to be crazy. So showing maybe a little bit more behind the scenes type stuff with that. I renovated a kitchen, renovated a bathroom, renovated a dining room, and also with that interior design kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of cool little things that I kind of want to touch on there. And then also, most of you guys probably in the beginning, I know, came from my social media platform. As you guys know, I primarily was on Instagram mostly, and I think a lot of you guys had kind of came off there, and then I think we kind of grew kind of followers through YouTube, and we're really big on TikTok, which rest in peace. They're supposedly supposed to be gone probably by when this podcast airs on Sunday. So that will be quite a change for us on an kind of a marketing standpoint. But yeah, kind of want to get into that on the social media standpoint, and brand deals, projects, things like that. I have sponsors on here, which are awesome, that I'm, one of my people that I work with have actually helped me get, but then also I work with different brands and stuff on my actual Instagram, and showing you kind of behind the scenes of the Instagram life and what that's like too. I kind of want to show you guys that, talk about that a little bit too. And also fun experiences. I know I've shared some of them on here for you guys, but kind of diving into some of my social media, I guess, career in the back days. I mean, I've been on social media since 2014 was really when I started taking off, 2014, 2015. So we're coming up on 10 years of being kind of a social media person. So bunch of stuff to talk about there, and we'll get into that here on this next season of the podcast, which is super fun. Next thing that I kind of want to talk about that we'll be going into for the next chapter of the OCMS podcast is going to be live topics, and also current events and kind of personal takes on them. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now, as you guys probably know, like the Palisades fire, which is super awesome. I want to get my take on that kind of stuff. Also just kind of cool events that are happening, get my takes on that as well. So That will be one thing that we'll be stepping into. Don't fear, guys. I'm gonna see. I told you this third party thing is third person thing is so difficult for me, but don't fear. I am not getting away from my question segment. This is so weird. But yeah, gonna be keeping the question segment, so you guys will still access that link, and still can reach out and ask questions. Any topics too as well that you guys want to talk about. I'm gonna be leaving that a portion of the podcast because I feel like that really, really helped the podcast grow a lot, which was quite awesome. So definitely want to be keeping that around. And I think it's really a fun way for me to personally connect with you guys on a standpoint and kind of hear your guys' questions, which I think is awesome. So keep that around. Also, something I want to kind of take on for the next chapter of the podcast. It's kind of car talk. I'm a super big car guy. And some of you guys I know that come from like my Instagram and stuff are as well. So kind of keeping that avenue. I think it's super awesome. I love cars. I have multiple cars. Maybe talking about what cars I own, what cars I have owned, what cars I'm going to be getting. I have to get rid of 3 cars in a couple months here, and then we'll be seeing what cars end up replacing them. So if you like cars, definitely stick around because there'll be some car talk here in the next season of this podcast. And then also one other thing that I kind of touched on was food. I'm a foodie, so getting more into kind of food reviews and getting into more food reviews. I love crumble. So I know it's right now a short content kind of thing on like TikTok and stuff right now is to do like crumble reviews, and I'd love to do something like that on this platform for you guys, and then also other new food fun things that are coming out, because I think that would be super, super awesome as well. And lastly, one big thing that I want to announce coming into the next chapter of the OCMS podcast is finally guest interviews. I think this is one of the most requested things that we've been asked for, or I've been asked for in our comment section this last year. Of the last podcast, and we are going to finally have guests. I don't know who the first guest is going to be yet. I haven't set up any of that right now. Like I said, you guys can't see, but actually off camera here is my guest area, and let's just say it is stacked to the ceiling right now in boxes. So there's a couch there, and it's kind of turned into me and my other half's extra storage space for all of our boxes that we acquired from Christmas and just Costco runs and everything else. So definitely have to get that cleared out before we do any kind of guest shows too. I have like behind here, there's a set behind the camera that has like all the craft stuff, so all the fun snacks and everything. So really want to get some guests in here. I think that would make a cool new element to the podcast, and make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more enjoyable too as well, and just kind of elevate it a little bit. I've always loved interviewing and talking with not only just content creators, but just people in different fields. I think it's a really cool way, and maybe you're not necessarily interested in what they do, but you can kind of get a backside on some of these people, and a lot of people have really cool personalities, so kind of just discussing their personal lives and fun stuff like this. There will be, I think, coming up here, I'm going to be doing some pod swap kind of stuff where I have guests on my podcast and then I'll go on to their podcast, so that'll be quite fun. I have somebody in the works right now. He is a very, very influential photographer. He's done super, super big fun stuff. He's photoed Rihanna and a couple other big people, so he has a whole bunch of prior experience in kind of that field, and also social media. I think his social media platform has over, 300,000 followers, so it's just crazy. He's kind of blown up, and I'd love to have him on, and we've kind of discussed about doing a pod swap because he also has a podcast. There's a couple other people that I've had already kind of set up last season, then kind of everything's shifted, and then the podcast stopped, so we weren't able to bring really anybody on, but still getting those people back on here because I think that would make it really, really fun. And like I said, still having, a co-guest and maybe Muriel at some points too as well, just to discuss cool new things, kind of maybe life updates with her. That's something we can maybe do at some point too throughout the next season here of this podcast. I guess major changes too. There is going to be a little bit, sorry, I'm just scrolling down here so I can go through them and keep on track, but a little bit of a couple different major changes. I'm going to be shifting over to about 1 to 2 podcasts a month. Not quite doing the 3 to 4 that we were doing last season per month. I mean, I think we were doing one every Sunday. So you'll see that the intro here has been changed, and I'm going to be doing probably about one a month to two a month with a bonus. Kind of that bonus will be that second one if I can get another one up. And with that, it's just to enhance, I guess, editing in less quantity but better quality. Essentially, that was one big thing I wanted to do with the next season of the podcast. So just elevate it a little bit more and give it a little bit better of a quality standpoint, better editing. I've partnered with somebody on that sense too as well, like I said in the beginning of the podcast. So I think that's going to help out a lot better for enhancing the next season of the podcast. So that'll be kind of cool. Other thing with it is going to be a little bit more shorter of a podcast. Before we were doing about an hour to an hour and a half, and then now I think I'm going to re-enhance it to about 30 to 45 minutes. Really, why that is because, as we all know, short form does a lot better in the realm of social media right now. But essentially with it makes it easier to edit to and be more consistent. So just switching over to that 30, 45 minute kind of run for the podcast too as well. And then other major change is going to be sponsors. I know we had one big sponsor last season that we kind of used throughout the whole season with a couple different things. We kind of had a setup with them where we had to do about 4 or 5 posts. So we just kind of held them into 4 or 5 episodes, which worked really good. But we're going to be switching it up with the, enhanced editing and, the changes and stuff. It is going to be, a little more costly. So just bring in some more sponsors in here. And I love working with brands, truly, especially if they have a good product. Like I said, Bionic in the beginning of the, I just talked about Bionic in the beginning of the podcast here. They are such a cool brand, and I kind of want to continue that connection. So yeah, bringing in more sponsors. And then last thing I kind of want to do, this is something I've done in my coffee business, but I love to get back and shout out businesses and charities and stuff. So I think with us doing one podcast, or me doing one podcast a month, I think that I want to do kind of a shout out to maybe a business, a charity, and then I always kind of want to include a donation in it too as well. I don't have one today. A podcast or a charity that I think is doing awesome. Or maybe I might also throw in like content creators or podcasts too as well, and those kinds of shout outs. I don't know the realm of that yet, but I know I want to, at least if we're doing a charity, or if I'm doing a charity, every podcast, do a donation on that charity and share that charity just to give more light to these charities, to businesses, to other content creators, and kind of make it more fun and lively and give a purpose to this podcast. So that's one big thing I want to do going into this next year here. And that's kind of lastly what I have here for, I guess, major changes to the OCMS podcast. But other than that, it's going to be the same good old podcast for the most part, same giving hot takes on stuff, answering questions, new stuff. It's super, super fun. I think it's super awesome that we're kind of I'm kind of involving with this podcast, and who knows what's to come this season. I mean, this is just setting up a baseline. So you guys know what we're going to be, or what I'm going to be focusing on. That's one thing we're going to work on, or I'm going to work on, not talking in third person. I'm definitely going to work on that so I can refer to it. It's just weird. I don't know. I feel like we is me, you, it used to be me and my co-guest Muriel, but yeah, now it's weird. So that will be something to work on here. But yeah, this is the next chapter, next season of the OCMS podcast. And I hope you guys stick around for it, because I think it is going to be super, super fun. Like I said, too, in the beginning, big shout out to our sponsor here. I'll kind of show some B-roll here off to the side. Bionic and all the fun stuff that they have. I'm super grateful for them coming in with the podcast here. And yeah, question link will be linked down below too as well. So if you guys do want to start sending over some new questions and stuff, go ahead and send them over there. And if you guys have any questions, comments and stuff, you can also include them in there, or you can comment down below. But thank you for joining today and checking out the new kind of route of the OCMS podcast. I appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, I think it'll be super, super fun. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below too as well. Like I said, if you have any questions like that, also check out Bionic and check out our questions link. I'm going to wrap this up right here, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.